5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Come on.
Living Life on Purpose with LaLa is coming over your airwaves to help your life vibrate on a higher frequency. The show aims to inspire the personal greatness of which we're all capable of. I plan to push you to the next level with a combination of wisdom, sincere commentary on the times in which we live, open dialogue, and of course, a healthy dose of humor. It takes motivation to turn off the autopilot and actually navigate on the road to destiny. So I'm here to get you back in the driver's seat. Living Life on Purpose with LaLa. Living Life on Purpose with LaLa.
The fruit that comes from the tree. Yeah. You want good fruit. You don't want bad fruit. And it's your responsibility to produce good fruit.
That's right. The Bible says that a man who does not take care of his child is worse than an infidel. So really, to me, you're bringing a curse on yourself.
Yes.
You're not prospering. You must do this. And like you said, we're not bashing. This is a cry to our men. Because we are watching our young men walk around angry as all get out, and that anger is coming out and it is misdirected. And what's happening is you have fathers and sons in the same prisons.
Amen.
And we have to break the cycle. Wow. We must break the cycle. Before we go, Mr. Sherman, tonight, could you give out your...
It's crazy. It's crazy. It's amazing. Mm-hmm. It's amazing.
And I definitely want to point out that color is not just an issue in the African American, in the black community. Mm-hmm. Color is an issue in all cultures. Exactly. Mm-hmm. I have a friend who I went to school with that was from Peru. And I remember him telling me he's just got back from Peru. And I'm like, oh, how was your trip? I'm all excited. And he was like, if you think that people are prejudiced here, you should have saw over there. He said how they discriminated against each other. The lighter ones didn't like the darker ones, and they're all Peruvian. Mm-hmm. You have that with the Native Americans, you have that with the Dominicans, Asians, with the Puerto Rican, exactly.
Everybody.
You know, so it's not just in the black community. Mm-hmm. You know, and I want people to recognize and realize that. And I just believe that it first of all starts at home. Yes. I believe that how you're nurtured at home is how you'll display yourself even in public.
Mm-hmm. And I think before the show, we were talking about school.
Intimidated by women who have it together. Why is that? I would really love to know why is that. I think I said it because men need to feel needed.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of guys get intimidated by a girl or a woman or a female that, you know, has it together because they feel like there's nothing she can do for them, you know. Well, he can do for her.
Right. But why is that? I mean, especially I have one friend and he liked this girl, and I said to him, I'm like, why would you not want to be with her if she can help take you to the next level? He's like, well, I'm trying to get myself together. I don't want to date. And I'm like, dude, you're like 30. It seems like you've been trying to do this for a minute now and you haven't gotten it together. So I honestly felt like God sent her into his life to show him, you know, help him along the way. And she was willing to do that, but it was just something that his man ego, I guess, didn't want. And I don't understand it. I mean, if you need help, you need help. Say you need help.
By y'all know I'll be rubbing up against
Exactly. That is the God that I serve.
That's the God. You know, that's what we want to hear.
So many people say, well, God doesn't talk to me. Are you really listening? He definitely talks to you. And I hope our listeners heard one thing that she said in all of that. She wasn't bashing her husband for leaving, even though she got her blessings. She said, I still pray for him.
Yep. She said, I still pray for him. That right there is the key to your blessing. Yep.
That right there is the key to you getting your release and your freedom in your mind and moving forward. You can't be angry. Let it go.
Yes.
Let it go. Let it go. Let it go. You have to let it go. Oh my goodness. That was awesome.
Yeah.
That was awesome. I want you all to stay tuned. You're listening to Living Life on Purpose with LaLa.
Yes.
And that's what we want you guys to do. Live your life. This is the home of the BJ Murphy Morning Show, as well as Doug Banks in the afternoon. If you have a testimony, call us 704-553-1370. God is awesome.
When you're trying to bring somebody up, it actually weighs you down.
Because you're trying to be Jesus, and that's not your job.
You're right, girl. You're right.
That is not your job.
You are right.
You know, as I think as women, we're more so just nurturers. So that's what we do, or we think, oh, well, he has potential. But potential is nothing but potential. And I think that's where we go wrong. As women, we see potential and we think, oh, I'm telling you, when he gets it together. But as a male, you know, we already know that there's so much further behind us. How long is it going to take him to get it together? Are you really willing to wait that long as a woman? Men, we need your input. We need to know, why does it take men so long to get it together? And I guess what could actually make a man commit? That's what I want to know. I want to know what can actually make, well, I don't want to say make, or have a guy feel like he's ready to commit. Because you see some guys, they be with women for years and they never get married, leave her, and then go to the next woman and marry her in 3 months. What's that all about?
I have no clue, but that's definitely a good question for the men. But for the women,
right.
That's good. Now,
wasn't that good?
And she was able to see her facts, as well as she got a light and saw the knowledge of what the truth really was.
Yeah.
But the fact was, she did think that she loves herself.
Right.
But as a matter of fact, she doesn't.
Right.
The facts are concrete. Facts never, ever, ever change. Facts are facts. In any court, in any state of law, facts will always be facts. Evidence is a fact. It's not a truth, because a truth comes out of your mouth.
Right.
A truth comes out of your actions. And we don't understand people's actions sometimes. Sometimes, and I know Miss Glenn, Miss T actually gave this little scenario. We may see someone that's about 12 years old, a little girl, little boy, and we may go, they pretty fast, or they're moving a bit too quickly. But the fact is that the reason why this child is moving too quickly, maybe their mother has a drug addiction, maybe the mom has a third shift job, and this child is left at home to take care of her and her siblings. So she's treated as an adult. She's playing the role of the mommy. That's a fact. Now, the truth is what we see. Yeah, maybe she is acting out a little fast.
Wow.
You know,
that's a great way to look at it.
Yeah.
Wow. You know? So I think that we all have to step, and something that you guys spoke about earlier was when we have to release people and let them go. Sometimes it's hard. It is so hard, but once you understand why you have to do it, then it'll be easier. And don't feel like that person may not resurface themselves in your life again. It's just at that time they're not supposed to be there. And I want a lot of people who are going on the journey to following their dreams to remember, don't look, I'm sorry and I hate to say this, but don't look for your family and your close friends to support you. Right. If that's where you're looking for all of your validation and your support from, you got it all wrong. They may not be your audience. They may not be your customer. They may not be the person who's going to be there, because you have to remember, they know you as the friendly, lovely, lovable person. So there's that time when you're like, you know what, I got to go and I got to do this research. I need to make this business call. And it's like, well, why? Why can't we just go out? Why can't we do... You have to learn discipline, yes. And they're not going, and don't get mad because they can't respect it. It's just them. But you have to respect what it is that you have going on, and you have to stay on the course.
Yeah, I was talking to Miss T, and I were talking
on Facebook, so you can reach me through all of those channels. Yes.
Okay, I love it.
I love it, and I read the book, and I definitely say that it is something that you want to get.
Yes.
Miss Gleb is so funny, but I mean, the book is just excellent, and I don't really know what to say other than it's excellent. It's definitely an easy read.
Yes.
But the steps in it are going to take longer than the reading process, because if you do it like the book is, the easy read, I think that we have a lot of emptying to do. And the main thing that I definitely say that really stood out that I love is forgiveness. We have to learn how to forgive people. We must learn how to let it go. It's okay. We've all been hurt, but we have to forgive people. And that's just something that I really, if you get nothing else, just know that we have to forgive. Just know that you were wonderfully and just made and that you were created with a purpose. And Jeremiah 29:11 says, "For I know the plans that I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, but plans to give you a hope and to give you a future." And by reading this book, it just brings us back to the basics, and it brings us back to the creator who created us. Who can have a better master plan, a blueprint for our lives than the person who created you?
Absolutely. I 100% agree with you. And there's one other thing that I would.
And you guys are probably like, why are we doing a show on becoming the original you? Because we want you all to be who you are, to be who God ordained for you to be who you actually were created to be. Of course, the name of the show is called Living Life on Purpose. On purpose means with intent, to do it deliberately. And there's actually a way to get there, because as we go through life, we know that sometimes we have certain trials and tribulations and blows that knock us down. And sometimes we get back up, but when we get back up, we're actually in autopilot.
Absolutely.
So we're just going through the motions. We are existing, but we're no longer living.
Yes.
And when I read this, I was like, wow, this really, is in introspect with what it is, my message that I'm trying to get to people, that sometimes we forget to forgive. We say we forgave, but have we really forgiven? When I read this book, I'm like, Lord, I know I forgave every single person, but I find myself going through so many things, and for me personally, things in my life aren't 100% lining up right now. So I'm like, Lord, is there any unforgiveness in me? I want to go back and make sure that I've forgiven each and every person who intentionally, unintentionally hurt me, or, maybe people that I've hurt. Because I have to do that. Once again, it's always a good thing when we have to do it over and over. I think it's a process. It's like a cleansing. I think it's a process. So I know, Ms. Glam, you said you ain't really get to read the book, but you got to do it.
I want to do more. I have big ideas, but I feel like I don't have room for failure because of my age. And, I don't want to expose myself and really hurt my own self by saying, oh, you really can't do it. It's because, you don't know where your motivators or your support team is going to come from. And, you feel like you're in a one-man show. And so,
okay, can I stop you right there? Because you gave so much, and I want to try to tackle everything. First of all, you're 33, so what if you fail? You get back up again and you keep it moving. Yes, you are the one-woman show. It is about you and your business, and I believe for any business, you have to learn sales. And what's the best way to learn sales? Take on a sales job, get the free training from them, and just know if you can sell for somebody else, you definitely can promote your own whatever it is that you have going on. You're going to fail. There is, I don't care, I think for most people there is, when they first start, that fear of selling. But in order to sell, it's not really selling, because if you believe in what it is that you're offering people, then it's a transference of feelings. So I can only get you. You feel me, and that's what gets you to trust me, and that's what gets you to buy from me. If I'm trying to sell you, you're going to know that I'm trying to sell you. So, of course, you're going to be, leery, or you're not going to really want what it is. But if I can show you the value and the belief in what it is that I'm offering you, because I feel that you have a need for it, it'll happen. But I tell even my own kids, especially my oldest son, I believe that your first job should be in sales, because especially if you want to become an entrepreneur, because once you get past that, even if you fail at it, so what? Jump back up, brush yourself off, and keep it going. And there was some other things you said, but I'm gonna let somebody else finish. It's called Dark Girls. So tonight we're going to be talking about skin color. Light skin versus dark skin versus red skin, blue skin, purple skin. Boy. We're talking about the color of skin. And I know that you all know that there are some big companies out there who are actually finding themselves in lawsuits. They're going up against other things. And one of the companies was actually Akira. Akira found itself in a bit of hot water when it was revealed that a casting agency in Los Angeles only desired light-skinned African-American actors for the company's Super Bowl commercial.
That's a hot mess.
That really is. But there was another company that I saw that had a casting call like that, and it was Ciroc. And we all know that P. Diddy, that's his name
Puffy,
right now?
Yeah, whatever.
Puffy Sean. Okay.
Yeah.
He actually represents Ciroc. So he is a darker skinned male. So when they put out their casting call, they did the same exact thing. And I think what it did was it raised the eyebrows of a lot of people, because that is, I won't even call it a form, but that's discrimination.
Absolutely.
That's definitely discrimination. And I know a lot of our listeners have been watching the documentary called Dark Girls. I actually rewatched it again the other day. And it's so funny because I sat back and I pondered. Honestly, I knew I was black, don't get me wrong, but I didn't really know I was dark skinned until I moved to the South.
Wow.
Because that's when it was more so, I guess, an issue. That's when it was more so pointed out to me as a dark skinned, woman in the South. I've been told that I'm not really supposed to have self-esteem or confidence, or I'm not supposed to carry myself in the manner that I carry myself in.
And that is insane.
That
really
that
is insane.
That definitely is. So make sure you're listening, because you never know. It's not going to just be calling in.
Yes.
You're going to have to listen.
You're going to have to listen.
But when we think about testimonies, our testimonies, and I thought about this when Ms. Glam came up with this topic, and it just let me know I always try to be transparent to my listening audience, but I felt like I had to really, really, really be transparent. And we all know when we have a testimony, I hope we know that there's sometimes a certain season or everybody can't hear your testimony, or it may not be time to tell your testimony. So you have to be very careful about who you tell your testimony to. You have to be very careful to make sure that the timing's right, because everybody isn't always ready to hear your testimony. And it just makes me think about when people see the now, but they didn't see the back then. They see what you allowed them to see, but they never see you behind closed doors and what you go through.
Yes.
And I know you guys are like, LaLa, testimony? What's a testimony? A testimony is evidence in support of a fact. A testimony is proof. A testimony is proof. And I say a testimony is your own personal story of triumph through a tribulation. Triumph is significant success or noteworthy achievement through a tribulation. A tribulation is severe trial or suffering or an affliction. I actually was on the phone with a young man who contacted me through Facebook today, and I said, well, let me go look at his page just to see what he was about. From looking at his page, I saw something that kind of disturbed me, because it was the second time that I saw this about him. The first time I actually, wrote something and encouraged him. The Spirit actually led me to find out his phone number, call him, because his thoughts and his words were actually shaping his world, and he needed to be taught that that's not how you do that. I believe that he had other intentions, but by the end of the conversation, I knew that the mission that God had sent me on was completed. It was definitely completed. So it was just like he had a whole new outlook for his life. He was able to not just exist, but now he knew that he had to live life. He couldn't just allow life to, I told him, I said, life is living you right now. It's beating you down, and that's life. You have that hand, you dealt that hand, but now you got to play it. You have to play it, and you have to play it smart. Don't think it's just you that's going through. Stop looking to people to encourage you. Stop looking for accolades from people. Your testimony is your testimony. Your trials and your tribulations, they're yours, but they're not just for you. You go through things that you go through, so when you run into that person or you meet that person that's going through what you've been through,
You can let them know, you know what? You're going to make it through this. You're going to survive. You're going to conquer this. You're going to overcome this. So I just want to give a shout out because I know that he's listening. I don't know if he wants me to say his name, but this young man was in New York City, and I allow God to use me to give him a brand new outlook on life. So what is your testimony? And in the studio, we are going to be interviewing pretty soon.
Situation, there is a tomorrow, there is a brighter day, and you can make it. It's not the end of the world because God has so much in store for you.
That is really, really good.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna piggyback off of that because I was in my early 20s, right after my teenage years when I had my child.
Right.
But my story is the dad chose to leave. That was rough. That was tough. Very devastating. And I remember the day that my son, it was like 2 days before he was turning 18. I never thought that I would see that day. I never thought that day would come. And I specifically heard the Spirit say, you never thought this day would come, but look at you. Look at where you made it. Was it easy? No. Just imagine being this young mom. You have your own dreams. You have your own ambitions. And now you have this life that you have to care for. You don't understand why this person chose to walk away from this baby that you feel like is so beautiful. He needs both parents. And why is this my cross? Why do I have to go through this? And it just felt like at that time, I'm going to keep it 100. I felt like God forgot about me or I was being cursed.
Wow.
I'm going to really keep it real with you. But it was a choice that I made. And I'm going to keep it 100. I didn't plan to have any children. I literally went to the place to get that done. And the night before I was going to my appointment, I had a dream. And God told me, if you kill him, I'll kill you.
Wow.
I'll never forget that. So even in my not wanting to do it, I had to be obedient because I knew that killing me didn't necessarily mean that he was going to do it in the physical. He could have just killed off all the blessings that were going to take place in my life. It was even deeper than I thought it was going to be. Now, did this child give me, when he was little, it was perfect.
Of course.
Because God knew, LaShawn really mentally can't deal with it. Let's give her this good easy. Baby. It's really easy child that she can throw in the car with her and still live her life and take everywhere with her. But the teenage years were difficult. Okay. They were difficult, and they were the years when he needed a father. And I won't say that his father didn't really, come back into his life, because he actually did come back into his life, but he didn't stay.
Okay.
So when I needed him the most, he was gone. But the one thing that I got from that was I still had to forgive this man who walked away from me. I couldn't allow this man to have so much power over me that I carried anger or that I carried malice in my heart.
Because that would have made you a different person.
Exactly. Now I'm not going to say like for the first year it probably didn't.
Right.
But I realized that I had to release that and I had to let that go. And I realized that this was my struggle. My motto has always been success is your best revenge. So let that person see, you know what? I wish I was with her.
Right.
So I did what I had to do. Was everything always right as a parent? No, because I was learning how to parent.
Yeah, we were both young.
I made huge mistakes.
Right.
And then there were great things that I did do. I think as a young mom, you're so into this little child. You're pouring so much into them. You're making sure they go to the best schools. You're making sure that they learn how to read at an early age. You're so involved. You want them in every sport. You do everything the way that you thought it should have been done for you, or the way that it should be. So for me to tell that and really open up and be transparent, that's huge.
Yeah.
But that's an obstacle that I had to get through. That was a tribulation that I had to get through, because it wasn't, well, let me send you to your father.
You didn't have that option.
I didn't have that option. Or, well, your grandmother wants to see you, or where's the other side of the family? I remember one day in my struggle, my car broke down. I had to be at work at 7 o'clock, 30 minutes away, no car, still had to get up with a stroller, 5:36 in the morning, walk to the babysitter, catch a ride from there. And I'll never forget it. My son was like 3, and he turned around and he looked at me in his intelligence and he goes, "Mommy, where's my daddy?" Wow. What do you say to a 3-year-old?
Wow.
So there were times that I went through, but we not only survived that, we actually conquered that.
Exactly.
I love it.
We conquered that. So to all of you that are listening, I want you to stay tuned, but I want you to chime into the conversation, call into the station, tell us your testimony. Somebody needs to hear your testimony. We can be reached at 704-553-1370, 704-553-1370. We want to hear your testimony. Stay tuned. You're listening to Living Life on Purpose with LaLa.